Good morning, everybody. Is my audio okay? I did not check it. I've been in here chatting with you guys, going back and forth in Discord and on Facebook and stuff like that, just drinking my coffee and just mentally preparing for this subject because I'm just super pissed off about it. Super pissed off. Snazzy says, yes. Mermaid said, hi, Brooks. Hello, Jim. I was talking to Jim. Hello, Sword. Hello, Teresa. Man, I'm usually ripping on Candace or Billy or Teardrop, but this is a true crime channel. Now, I do have a backup channel, but I wanted to talk about this on this channel, and then I'll move over to that channel for things like when I'm talking about tornadoes or epic disasters like Chernobyl 2.0. This is horrible. Let me put the backup channel in here. You guys can sub to that. I just want to make sure. Vamaskin. Hey, Brooks, thanks for covering this. This is an actual environmental disaster. Where is FEMA? Exactly. They said yesterday it doesn't qualify. Where's Al Gore? That's what I'm saying. Where's Al Gore? Where are the people that shame the shit out of us for using plastic straws? Where are they? Where are they? Snow! Girlfriend, where have you been? I've missed you. Hello, MK. Missed you too. Where are they? These people make hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions for their podcasts, their speaking engagements, their advertising, their Instagrams. This is going on, and where are they? Where are they? Huh. Now, I know some channels who have tried to talk about this subject have in the middle had to shut it down. Well, they're not us. Because I don't care who you vote for. You don't care who I vote for. But we're talking about what's going on in East Palestine, Ohio. And it is terrible. There's no way to talk about this without talking about political people. Okay. One guy who I think is awesome, his name is, give me a second, Senator Vance, J.D. Vance out of Ohio. I heard him the other day, and he basically threw down a challenge and said, come to East Palestine, turn on the faucet, and take a drink. I don't think anybody showed up from what I'm seeing. MK said, Ohio here. If you're in Ohio, let me know. Let me know. Ilonka said, one county south of me. You're in danger, Ilonka. Lots of people are. Lots of people are. We have a huge problem here. Huge problem. We have a huge problem here. This has been going on for decades. And Rexy said, BS, would he do that? Hell no, he wouldn't do that. That's why he's telling them to come do it. He's telling them, come do it. You're telling these people it's safe to go home but buy bottled water? Ignore that mushroom cloud hanging over your town. But these lobbyists have been greasing both sides of the aisle for decades. This was bound to happen. This was bound to happen. This happened February 3rd. Where was Hoda and Savannah? They have a pretty big morning show. It's called the Today Show. They hardly say anything about it. They mentioned a train derailment in Ohio. Well, shit, that happens. When Mayor Pete said the other day, train derailments, they happen quite a bit. They do, but they don't shut down entire society. They don't shut down entire towns. Where was Oprah's best friend Gail? She's got a huge platform. CBS This Morning. Everybody's been chasing the Chinese balloon and Super Bowl, including me. They didn't want us to know about this. All right, so a few days ago, I'm like, why are they still talking about that damn train derailment? Get some cranes and pick it up. The hell's going on here? Then I see something about a news reporter getting arrested. Now you've piqued my interest. Because when we're shutting down a constitutional right, which is freedom of the press, we got a problem. So I start getting into it and I'm like, oh, hell. This is freaking Chernobyl. Snow said the balloons were a distraction for this. It was a plan. I think something. This is crazy. Hydrogen, chlorine, and phosphine gas. Humans that are losing their hair, human people like us, losing their hair, burning throats, chemical burns on their skin. Let's go back to when our babies were little and we had powdered formula. You mix it with water. Would you use that water to mix formula for your baby? Hell no. The soil, it's going to take decades to get all of this dug up. Animals, fish, raccoon, birds, you name it, are just dead. One woman went outside and she had a chicken coop. All the chickens are just laying on their side. What I do worry about is some of the people there are trusting the railroad. They really think that they're going to be there for the long run. They really think, not all of them, because there's a lot of people that are talking out in these town meetings, and God bless them. So when the greasy railroad and their lobbyists are going around with their checkbook and they're saying, let me pay for your hotel. Let me do this. Let me do that. And they're taking that money. One dude took $1,500. $1,500 won't pay for his cancer that he's probably going to wind up with in 5 years. They call that a quick settlement. They don't know it. They just say, sign this so that way I know I gave it to you. This is horrific. This is horrible. Before I get to the comments, here is, now this is the latest that I have. This could have changed. All right, here's where East Palestine is still where I'm showing, but the danger area is going to be different. So it's right on the Pennsylvania border. Not too far from Pittsburgh, not too far from Cleveland. Okay, this is what they're saying is the danger area. The red, get out. The yellow, yeah. I am not an environmentalist. I'm not a conservationist. I don't know about these things. I would be nowhere near the red or the yellow. It would be a cold day in hell before I ever jumped into a swimming pool anywhere near that area. This is horrible. This is horrible. Let's look at some comments. Then we're going to go through how this started up to now. It's crazy. Hang on, I've got them on my phone. Bibby said, that's my hometown. I grew up about a mile from the tracks. I moved 30 minutes north of East Palestine to Boardman, and we could smell the chemicals in the air. Just the other day in Mill Creek Park, 5 minutes from my home, a hiker found 2 dead raccoons next to the creek. Other animals reported as dying due to the water. If it's going to kill a raccoon, it's not going to be good for you. Mrs. Hall said, I live 2 hours downstream along the Ohio River from East Palestine. I live in a town called Marietta, Ohio. And I can't understand why nothing is being done about this. Affects is true too. This affects way more than just the people of East Palestine. It affects people all along the Ohio River. Let's look on the screen. Here's the Ohio River. That red line is the Ohio River. It goes from Pittsburgh. You see where it goes. That's the Ohio River. It goes into the Mississippi River. Now on the screen, that is the Mississippi River. As you can see, the red area gets bigger by the minute. Garrett said, I live in East Palestine, Ohio, 3 miles away, actually. Nobody told me anything or knocked on my door. No emergency broadcasts were made. I didn't get out until the day they started using explosives. When they said we could go home, I had materials from my house stolen, lost a lot of money, and my investment into my first home at 29 years old. Nobody is going to buy my house, especially after all the work I put into it. If anyone wants to interview me or ask me questions, yeah, come on the show. Come on. Nobody's going to buy his house. Who wants to live in Chernobyl, Ohio? All of these homes are going to be gone. Gone. Ursa Bruin says Ohio River provides 20% of the drinking water. See, so it's not what they're saying. It's not just this little community, as they keep saying. This is horrible. Who wants to live in Chernobyl, Ohio? When they say it's not that bad, there is a rainbow in the water, and it's not because a leprechaun lives there. It's because there is chemicals in it. Phosphine gas, our military has used in wars to kill people. We're going to learn more about phosphine gas. We're going to learn as we go along. Phosphine gas, German use in late 1915, invisible, choke gas for air and suffocate. 10 times more deadly than chlorine. That's what's floating around the air in East Palestine, Ohio. You can't contain a gas. What are these people talking about? What are these people talking about? Rexy. I know what Rexy's talking about. Rexy's gifting memberships. I tell you what, I'm so pissed about this. Let's look at how this began. Then we're going to go back. I did pin the link, I believe. So let me know what you're thinking. That is horrible. Look at those clouds. Man, look at the freaking clouds. Could you imagine coming out of your house and you're like, that's not a thunderstorm I've ever seen before. That's not a thunderstorm I've ever seen before. So this happened February 3rd. A freight train carrying vinyl chloride, butyl acrylate, ethylene glycol, you name it, derailed. Then emergency crews conducted a controlled burn of the spill at the request of state officials, which released hydrogen chloride and phosphine phosgene into the air. Both are deadly. As a result, residents within 1 mile radius were evacuated. But that's just 1 mile. You can't contain those gases. The EPA published a list provided by Norfolk Southern, which documented the cargo of each car. The type of car, the type of hazard, if any, they put in parentheses. If any. What do you mean, if any? Associated with the contents of each car, as well as the extent to which each of the 20 train cars were affected by the derailment. Vinyl chloride present in multiple tankers was released and burned in a controlled manner to prevent a more dangerous explosion, because it was going to explode. It would have just wiped out eastern Ohio. So from what I'm reading, that's actually a good thing that they did. The train was a Norfolk Southern freight train. We're going to hear a lot about Norfolk Southern. I think Aaron Brockovich is calling them Norfolk. Fine by me. Which consisted of 3 locomotives, 9 empty cars, and 141 loaded cars. The train was operating from the Terminal Railroad Association of St. Louis Yard in Madison, Illinois, and it was headed to Conway, Pennsylvania. And we know where it derailed. We know where it derailed. Now, a little bit of the backstory on this. This has been going on for decades, not just with Norfolk, but with many of the railroads, okay? They are worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. Billions. They have been fighting back and forth for decades about the Rail Safety Improvement Act, which requires electronically controlled pneumatic brakes for high hazard flammable trains. This train would definitely be in that category. This train, though, was not equipped with ECP brakes. Former Federal Railroad Administration official Stephen Dittmeyer, I don't know who this dude is, said that would have mitigated the severity of the accident. All right, there has been legislation that has gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth about these freaking brakes probably since before I was alive. Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump. I'm sure Joe's heard about it. I'm sure Joe's heard about these brakes. It's a big thing with these companies. Seems to me that they don't want the brakes. They want those trains to go as fast as possible. As one said, who is collecting the insurance money? The railroad. The railroad. All right. This on the screen is just a little bit about the lobbying that the railroads do on both sides of the aisle. Now, it's kind of hard to see on here. You might want to screenshot it and blow it up. This is a small detail of how much they have spent over the years, and this goes back to 1998. 1998. 1998. And it's not just Norfolk, it's a lot of them. I'm going to scroll down. Association of American Railroads. Now, if you see here at the top, this is annual. Annually, they're spending this lobbying. They're not paying me no money. You know who they're paying. Association of American Railroads, $4.7 million they spend a year. Union Pacific, $3.9 million a year. Berkshire Hathaway, $2.7 million a year in lobbying both sides of the aisles to get their way. Norfolk Southern, $1.8 million. $1.8 million. You can take a screenshot of that if you want. I will put it in the description. All right. $1.8 million that they pay to grease the wheels. Do you know what they're offering the citizens of East Palestine, Ohio? $1 million. Exactly. Years of brewing. The half-life of some of those chemicals is up to 100 years. $1 million is couch coins for them. It's couch coins for them. $1 million. They're going $1 million. They're going to buy all their homes, get them out of the area. That is insane. That is insane. All right, let's look at this. This was a day after. Okay, this is a day after. Watch this. She's just sticking a stick into the water. She's just kind of swirling it around a little bit. Look at the chemicals coming out of the water. Look at that rainbow. Again, where's all the people that shame us for using plastic sacks? Where are the people that shame us for using plastic drinking straws? Where are these bitches? They make millions by shaming us. Where are the people that are against electricity? Where are these people? Where'd they go?
I just want to say that smell is noxious after moving those rocks a little bit. It's disgusting. Burnt plastic, chemical, awful smell. Oh, the smell. My God. How long is it going to be like this?
She said, how long is it going to be like this? Her great-grandchildren are going to be dealing with this. Fundeski was talking about when Chernobyl happened. They're still dealing with the after effects. Like I said, the hiker the other day, just checking out what's going on around there, finds all these dead raccoons. Well, the raccoons weren't in a gang with another gang of raccoons and decided to take the other gang out. They were drinking the water. Disgusting. Disgusting. All right, so they also kept this under wraps. Like I said, where are all these people? Where is the media? Miss Italy said we could smell a strong smell of paint thinner in the wind just the other day. I bet you could. I bet you could. So here's the controlled burn. All right, this is on WLWT. I'd like to know what my local news is doing about this. There is a lot going on here, and it is going to affect. Shit rolls downhill. Let's look at the river again. Let's look at the river again. Here's the Ohio River. These chemicals have penetrated the soil. And it's going to flow and flow and flow and flow. Ohio River is a drinking source. It goes into the Mississippi River that dumps out into the ocean. This is insane. Let's watch this clip, and I'm going to bring Rexy up. I see you, Rexy. I've missed you. Rexy's been watching the Murdahl trial.
With breaking news this morning, crews still working to control a dangerous situation after a large train derailment over the weekend.
Now they're releasing a toxic chemical into the air in hopes of preventing a large explosion in the area. A little bit of give and take here. WLWT News.
I'd have shit my britches if I'd heard this. I'd have shit my britches if I'd heard this.
Meredith Stutz joins us with the ongoing situation and the reaction from local first responders who are trained for hazmat incidences like these, Meredith.
Yeah, it's important to know what you're doing in these moments because the footage we're about to show you is truly wild. So this has been a tense situation since Friday night, as Kelly was talking about, in East Palestine, Ohio. You see the map behind me, right near the Pennsylvania border. Now, emergency crews went forward with a controlled chemical release of a derailed train cars yesterday. Well, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine said the vinyl chloride was inside the cars and that was unstable and could explode. Well, soon after this release, an explosion along with a massive plume of smoke, as you can see, understandably, could be seen for miles.
It could be seen from space. It could be seen from space. I've got to give it to the governor. I don't know how he is navigating all this because he's not getting the help he needs. I don't know how Mike DeWine is navigating this because he's not getting the help he needs. He says the railroad promised. He said, I'm going to hold them to their word. Well, as long as you're in office, that they are going to stay here until this is taken care of. I don't know how you can force them to. They're going to dig up some land, put it in some trucks. I don't know where the hell they're going to take it, somewhere where they got to burn it. What, put down new soil? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Officials called the controlled release successful, but the mandatory evacuation zone of a mile radius, it's still in effect. We spoke a little bit closer to home with St. Bernard Fire Captain Troy Merrick, who has been a hazmat trainer for more than 3 decades. Now, he says all 88 counties in Ohio have an emergency management team with someone who knows all the chemicals within the county in case of an accident.
But the problem is, they didn't let them know what was on that train. They said that this shipment didn't qualify for that type of transparency. I did see the governor say that is absurd and Congress has to change that. His face, he goes, that is absurd. Wildhair said, why was this train transporting these dangerous chemicals anyway? Because they are used in manufacturing and they were on the way to Pennsylvania till they derailed. Oh, man. This is awful.
Department of Transportation requires what's called a placard, which is a 10 3/4-inch diamond on all 4 sides. It'll have a 4-digit number on there, and that number will tell you what that chemical is. We all use chemicals in everyday life. They're important. However, when they're concentrated and sometimes things happen unintentionally, and we have to control them when they're released.
Years ago, a company I worked for at the Port of Catoosa, I did hazmat shipping. We did hydrogen fluoride. And I'm telling you what, the paperwork had to be so pristine that if not, they would fine you. And that fine was so heavy that you would never make that mistake again. One of our trucks had a minuscule amount of germanium tetrafluoride. It got pulled over in California. I didn't have the right box X'd. That fine was thousands of dollars. Okay, but on the highway, And in the air, it is different than on the railway. So when this guy says we use chemicals every day, we do. We just don't want them in the air. We don't want them in our water. He's right.
Despite the successful chemical release, hundreds of people are still not able to return home because of that mandatory evacuation order. No word on when that will be lifted as emergency crews monitor this active situation. Meredith Snupps, WLWT News 5.
Meredith, thank you. New this morning, flooding at a school in
What the hell? Let's see what Rexy thinks. Hello, Rexy. Are you awake?
Yep. I don't even know where to start.
Let's hash it out. Don't forget the link is pinned, guys. We got a lot to go through. This is horrific.
It's going to affect everybody everywhere for a long time.
A long time. A long time.
And I just worry about like crops and animals, you know, like beef and chickens and, you know, the food supply.
They are going to be ruined in eastern Ohio. So I have a question. Who's going to buy back all the farmland? Who's going to replace that soil so they can continue to farm? I mean, in 9 months, we're going to see a surge in birth defects. I'm sorry to say it.
Yeah.
We're going to start seeing a lot of miscarriages in that area. I have a feeling they're not going to tell us about it, though, Rexy.
Oh, probably not. Not unless the people up there speak out. The media, the government doesn't want the media covering it. And, you know, we know the media is ruled by the government. So.
Well, the problem is the other day when I first heard about this, I went to share an article on good old Facebook and I had a warning about sharing fake news.
Oh my God.
So it's already starting.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Radio Gaga read my mind. Radio Gaga read my mind. China will buy it up. They'll let them too. They'll let them too.
Yeah. I already wrote to one of my people in government, but you know, I'm in Florida, so I don't know that they can do anything, but I said, we need to push our government to do something. We help all these other countries when they have disasters, but when it comes to our country, it's hushed up.
Well, I love how the dude in the Ukraine asked for our F-16s to help him out yesterday, and they're like, sure.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
FEMA won't help out the citizens of East Palestine, Ohio. And let's not forget, it's not just affecting them. And this is going to go down the Ohio River and affect millions of Americans.
Exactly. It's going to affect fishing and land, more crops, more animals.
That video I showed was the next day. The next day, it was already in the water. It was already seeped into the soil.
Yeah. And it's going to travel. It's not going to stay in one spot.
This Twitter account, see if you want to go through this with me. This guy is on it. Now, this guy was thrown off Twitter a few years ago. I don't know why. Who knows? He was probably telling the truth about something.
Probably.
But he said right here, thread, photo, videos, this may be the largest environmental disaster in U.S. history. I'm going to guess yes.
Yeah.
Look at pictures. Look at this. Look at that.
I know.
Look at that picture. Look at this. Now, when I started digging into this, I thought this was a trailer to a Michael Bay video, a Michael Bay movie. And I'm like, what? This is really going on? Could you imagine? This is a guy outside of his house taking a picture down the street.
Oh God. I wouldn't be outside.
Hell no. They need to have why is PPE not being given to all them?
Yeah. Why?
He says right here, you are, if you look at that video, you are looking at a toxic cocktail of deadly chemicals purposefully being burnt off in East Palestine after a train derailment. Authorities burned off vinyl chloride, which is a toxic and carcinogenic and released harmful and dangerous hydrogen chlorine and phosgene into the air.
Yeah, my husband said it's stuff that makes PVC pipe.
They do. They do.
Oh,
We have
God.
to use chemicals. We use chemicals. We have to have chemicals. I mean, we make our plastics out of them. We
Yeah.
make stuff out of our chemicals. But this one, phosgene is the one that people seem to be the most concerned about. We used it in the war. Choke, gas for air, and suffocate. It's 10 times more deadly than chlorine.
And I know how chlorine smells when you put it in a pool, and it's not good. And that's just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine.
It is.
How are those people living there? I mean,
they had to evacuate. They're in hotels right now. Like I said, what are they going to do with their homes, their school, their businesses, restaurants,
their lives,
banks, law offices, real estate offices? Who wants to buy a house?
You're looking at a toxic cocktail of harmful and potentially deadly chemicals purposely being burned off by authorities. But why? Let's rewind. This all started with a train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, a town of nearly 5,000 people. 5 of the cars that derailed were carrying vinyl chloride, a dangerous chemical linked to multiple cancers. It's used to make a whole bunch of things, from car parts to PVC piping, but on its own, vinyl chloride can cause blisters, headaches, dizziness, and can be deadly if breathed in for too long. It's also unstable, and at least one of the train cars was at risk of exploding and sending deadly shrapnel flying as far as a mile. And while that massive explosion didn't end up happening, many are wondering if the way authorities are going about mitigating the incident is the best course of action. To avoid a catastrophic explosion, officials conducted a controlled release of vinyl chloride a few days after the derailment. They pierced the train cars so the vinyl chloride could drain into a trench and burn. It resulted in this. Authorities said that the controlled burn would release hydrogen chloride and phosgene into the air. Yes, as in World War I chemical weapon phosgene. So what does that mean for residents? Well, everyone living within at least a 2-mile radius of the derailment site was ordered to evacuate. Ahead of the controlled burn, authorities released an evacuation map and essentially said, if you're in this area, leave or risk dying because of toxic fumes. Authorities have been monitoring the air and water quality since the controlled release started and said that none of the readings were concerning. But many evacuated residents still have questions, namely when they'll be able to return home safely. While the possibility for a massive explosion is no longer a danger, there's been no timeline given for when it will be safe for people to return to the affected area.
No. I don't know of a time that you could safely go back.
No, but they've told them, go ahead and return to your homes, just buy bottled water. What about the phosgene?
That's BS.
Are you going to get bottled water for your swimming pool? Are you going to get bottled water for your cows? Are you what are you going to do about all your animals?
Exactly. The animals are going to die off.
Phosgene is a highly toxic, colorless gas, I can't talk today, with a strong odor that causes vomiting and breathing trouble. It was used as a chemical weapon in World War I.
Oh, God. And you know the way the wind blows, you never know which way it's going to be blowing that stuff.
Exactly. And it's in the water. Boy, Mom said, where are the celebrities that love to help people? Where are they? And where are all the environmentalists? Where are they?
Oh, those are the ones that pissed me off.
Me
Those
too.
people that, I hate, don't even get me started on them.
Amy has a good point. How are you going to do laundry? Are you going to get bottled water to do your laundry?
Yeah, because you don't want the chemicals in your water to put on your clothes to burn your skin.
What are these? What's an 18-year-old girl going to do in 5 years when she's got breast cancer? What are they going to tell her? Oh, you have it in your family? No, I have it in Chernobyl, Ohio.
Yeah, right. They're going to blow that off.
They better hold this railroad company accountable because there's going to be medical bills for years. Are you going to shower in bottled water? They're not even getting the bottled water for free.
No, and the price of water is going to go up too.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous anyway, but
I mean, where's all the climate change people? Where'd they go?
Where's those green people? What's her name there in the government that's always shouting the green stuff? Oh, I can't remember which one she is. They all seem the same to me, but get
They
her
all
over there.
the same rhetoric, and they're doing nothing. You're
They
gonna
don't do anything.
You're going to see miscarriages, birth defects, cancer. This is going to go on forever. This is going to go on. I don't know when this is going to end. I don't
But
know.
they want us to buy electric cars. I mean, that's better for the environment.
Thomas said it. He said, this is a chemical attack on our food source.
Yeah. Do we know what caused the train derailment?
They say the brakes. It didn't have the ECP brakes on it.
What does that mean exactly? They couldn't slow down, so
couldn't slow down. It was, I guess, going too fast. Trains get to going too fast, and they do. Mayor Pete said, this isn't an uncommon occurrence. He said trains derail quite a bit. Well, they do, but they don't shut down entire communities. They don't put a mushroom cloud over.
I would think trains carrying stuff like that shouldn't be going so fast. I don't know.
Oh, no, I do too. But this has been going on for decades, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's why I had that article up from opensource.com where they're talking about the lobbyists with the railroads. They want them to go as fast as possible. They don't want safety measures. And they've gone, every administration, they get hit with this. And they grease each side of the aisle till they get their way.
Yeah, they need to get rid of lobbyists. They're the worst.
Well, but we wouldn't want our lowly lawmakers to have to only live on $120,000 a year, would we?
Oh, no.
That's how they buy their big mansions and their cars and stuff. They need the lobbyists.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring up Rowena. I'm going to put you backstage. I'm going to bring up Rowena for a second, then I'm going to get to the phosphine, okay?
I'll jump down.
Okay, well, then I'm going to bring you back up. Hang on. Rowena, what's going on?
Hey, good morning. This infuriates me. Okay, real quick. I did a rotation at St. Jude Children's Cancer Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you what, 75% of the people that I took care of, guess what state they came out of? Louisiana. Do you know why? Because all the shit drains into Louisiana. It gets in the soil. This will affect the country, the whole entire country for generations. And the fact,
good point, because look at the Mississippi River. Look on
that's it. All dumps right there. And Louise, I'm not kidding. It was. I asked the doctor because I was a nursing student. I was like, "What in the? Why are all my patients from Louisiana?" I didn't get it. And he said it's because of the pollution. It goes down the Mississippi, then it dumps, and it's in the soil. Once something is in your soil, you're screwed. Fish are dying. That's what my husband just said. And another thing, okay, you have to, they're telling you drink bottled water. Okay, well, my business is gone. My income is gone. How am I going to buy bottled water? So I'm supposed to make ice with bottled water. Okay, good point. Washing your clothes. Hell, you can't even make macaroni and cheese because you can't boil the noodles. Who can afford? I can't afford that. And I'll see what it's a damn. It is a. People need to rise up because this.
You're cutting out, Rowena. You're cutting out, Rowena. Let me ask you this. Would you take a shower in Eastern Ohio right now? Not just East Palestine. Would you take a shower?
I'm tired of having every other damn country. I mean, my God, we are first on the scene, but we don't help our own. It's ridiculous. And I'm going to tell you what, the food, that I'm telling you, hell, you can't even be a vegetarian in Ohio anymore. Forget the chickens, the fish that are already dying. Sorry, I'm getting in the car. but I'm not driving. Hubby's driving. But, it was sick. And I'm telling y'all, look, I don't know if they have it. They probably don't. But I swear on my eyes that you would not believe the number of St. Jude patients that have cancer that live in the state of Louisiana. There's a reason. There's a reason. My husband's like, shh, I'm getting so heated. But and I'm gonna tell you what, okay? I went and got my years ago. Got used to do my hair. He was like, "What shampoo are you using?" And I'm like, "Well, I use Pantene." He said, "I knew it." He said, "Stop." He said, "The reason why it makes your hair shiny is because they use a chemical that they use in PVC." I'm like, "Do what?" And he showed me. I was like, "Oh my God." So we we use these things and we don't even know it.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
this company and our government, they better step up to these people. My heart breaks. I mean, it just breaks because it's so disgusting. And that they say that they can go back, do what? But
They told them to go
they
back
will.
home. They said,
I
"Go on
know,
back home. Just use bottled water." Am I supposed? What if you want to take a hot bath at the end of the day?
right,
Are you going to take a Chernobyl bath? I wouldn't.
right. I'm telling y'all, you think all day today. Think about everything you do with water. Everything you do.
You don't even think about it. You
Ice.
don't even think about
Right,
it.
right. So it's just it's sad. It's just, and we're going to see this for generations.
Mhm.
Generations, we are going to see this. Once it gets in that soil, there's no going back. Watch
Mhm.
Erin Brockovich. Let's get her on it.
Well,
This is this is
think about the bigger picture. In East Palestine, Ohio, in eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania, about 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, these people would get, and many other communities were warned to wear a mask everywhere they went. Don't go to work, don't do anything because of COVID. We'll put you in jail. We'll get you a fine. You have to wear a mask everywhere you go. Don't go to work. School is online. But in 2023, with a mushroom cloud hanging over the whole town, go on home, but just use bottled water. Go on home, but just use bottled water. Independent Thinker said, I just read they increased the 1 million support fund to 2.5 million. By the way, that 2.5 million is not per person. It's for the whole community. That would be like me finding 73 cents in my couch. We got to stick together on this, guys. Don't let them divide us. We've got to stick together. This is horrible. Look at your last pay stub. Look at your last pay stub. What do you pay in federal taxes? Somebody asked. Population. About 4,900 people, 5,000 people in East Palestine. But it's bigger than that. Let's look at this again. This is what they're saying. This is what they're saying. And for those asking why they burnt it, it's because it was going to explode. It would have killed, it would have been 100 times worse than what we're dealing with now. So the red area would be East Palestine. Then the yellow is how far out this has gotten. But it's going to get worse than that. Because again, here's the Ohio River. It connects to the Mississippi. So on and so forth. So on and so forth. Wisconsin Department of Health said exposure to vinyl chloride can affect a person's liver, kidney, lung, spleen, nervous system, and blood. Human and animal studies show higher rates of liver, lung, and several other types of cancer. The vinyl chloride burn occurred near the Ohio River, which flows directly into the Mississippi River. If you see that right there, there's no way, if you live in any of these areas, that you're not going to be affected. The vinyl chloride burn occurred near the Ohio River, which flows directly into the Mississippi River. Thousands of farms may be affected by this. They will. They will. You can't. It's in the soil. It's in the soil. This is crazy. The EPA sent a letter to the rail company stating that ethylene glycol, monobutyl ether, words I can't pronounce, were also in the rail cars. We basically nuked a town with chemicals so we could get the railroad open. Amanda Brashears found her chickens dead 10 miles from East Palestine. She said, as soon as they started the burn, my chickens slowed down and they died. If you can do this to chickens in one night, imagine what it's going to do to us in 20 years. Look at this.
This is what I found.
Amanda Brashears was going to feed her 5 hens and rooster this morning when she discovered them all lifeless, practically in the same position, with no signs of a predator entering their enclosure.
I'm beyond upset and quite panicked because they may be just chickens, but they're family.
Brashears says her chickens were alive and well yesterday. She believes the smell following the detonation of the train carrying chemicals that derailed in East Palestine is to blame for her birds' sudden death.
My video camera footage shows my chickens were perfectly fine before they started this burn. And as soon as they started the burn, my chickens slowed down and they died. If we can do this to chickens in one night, imagine what it's going to do to us in 20 years.
Officials have said that the smell wasn't toxic or dangerous, but
these assholes. Number 8. There are reports of dead fish in rivers and creeks 5 miles away from the train derailment. As you can tell, the red zone, which is 1 mile radius, is bullshit.
After the fiery derailment 5 miles away.
This is huge.
At the area, well and groundwater are safe. However, after this couple saw dead fish in this creek that you're looking at, they're deciding to not take any chances.
There was hundreds.
Russell Murphy is referring to the fish now belly up in Leslie Run. He and his wife noticed them last night, barely 48 hours after the fiery derailment 5 miles away.
This is huge, huge environmental effects.
That's now one of many concerns the EPA now faces.
The impact of the fish, yes, there was a impact of those. However, the levels as we have seen it are protective to groundwater. We are aware there are some wells along that for residential wells.
Environmental cleanup crews were at and actually in that water today. So are these booms, which are used to catch and stop anything that shouldn't be flowing here, or into water wells, which Murphy uses for just about everything.
Everything. Horses, cows, chickens, but they say go back home and buy bottled water. What are they going to do when this shit goes down the Mississippi River? Are they going to tell everybody along the Mississippi River when it's in their soil, just buy bottled water? What are you going to do about farms, beef, chickens, pigs? This is insane. Dead fish in Leslie Run coming out of East Palestine, Ohio. Taylor Holzer, a fox keeper just outside of the evacuation zone, says one of his foxes died and have all been acting sick since the vinyl chloride burn. The chemicals we're being told are safe are definitely not safe for animals or people.
It's just outside East Palestine's original evacuation zone. First News has been hearing all of your calls about your animals suffering and getting sick, some even dying. And it's not just causing problems for the animals, it's also causing problems for their owners as well. Taylor Holzer and his family run Parker Dairy. It's just outside East Palestine's original evacuation zone. Taylor is an ODNR registered fox keeper. A couple of his foxes broke their legs trying to run after the initial derailment. One of his foxes even died.
Out of nowhere, he just started coughing really hard and just shut down, and he had liquid diarrhea and just went very fast.
Taylor tells me all of his foxes have been sick and acting different since the weekend. Some have abnormally puffy faces, including the one he's holding. He says they are not eating properly. Many are dealing with stomach issues and are acting lethargic.
This isn't how a fox should act. He's very weak, limp. His eyes are very watery and weepy.
Some of the foxes are pacing rapidly in their pen, another sign they are not well. Taylor says the train derailment is causing all of these issues.
Smoke and chemicals from the train, it's the only thing that could cause it, because it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. The chemicals that we're being told are safe in the air, that's definitely not safe.
For the animals.
It's for animals or people.
Taylor hopes justice is served for the animals and people of East Palestine.
People's cats are getting sick and dying, and people's other birds that they have in their house that they weren't being able to evacuate either. Just, it's not safe.
Now, like you heard at the beginning of this story, one of Taylor's foxes did die. He now has to get a necropsy on that fox to determine the cause of death for it. Now, every animal owner, whether it's a pet or an agricultural animal, a farm animal, poultry, this has to be done. A necropsy has to be done to determine that cause of death. There are a few ways of going about this. To set one up, pet owners, like for a dog or a cat, must contact their veterinarians. Farm animal and poultry owners, they have to contact the Ohio Department of Agriculture. And companion animal owners, they have to contact the Ohio State University.
Gotta be kidding me. Are they going to pay for all that? Are they going to pay for all that? The top 10 railroad owners of the Norfolk Southern Corp include Vanguard, JP Morgan Investment, BlackRock, SSGA Funds, Lazard Asset Management, Capital Research and Management Corporation, Geode Capital, Wells Fargo, they've all got plenty of money. I would bankrupt every one of them for this. I would bankrupt every one of them for this. The East Palestine, Ohio toxic chemical burn may be the largest environmental hazard in U.S. history. I would say it is. I would say it is. I am so pissed off about this. It's bad enough that we've had our government destroying families, kicking dads out of the home, and keeping blacks and whites hating each other for decades. That wasn't enough. Then we had COVID. Now we're going to destroy food. Now, like I said, I'm not an environmentalist, so we're going to learn together. This is what phosgene, in the air is going to do.
Time for our next video on chemical weapons and how to protect yourself from them. And today we're going to look at phosgene. And phosgene was the gas that succeeded chlorine in World War One and was certainly the nastiest chemical agent of the war, at least in terms of casualties. Phosgene's estimated to have killed about 80 to 90% of the people in World War One who died from chemical weapon exposure. So that's around 80,000 people, give or take 10,000 or so. So what phosgene is it's sort of similar to chlorine in many ways on how it spreads and how it's used. So it's denser than air, and if you smell it, it smells like apparently freshly mown grass or sort of cut hay, something like that. But if you smell it, you've already inhaled 4 times a safe amount, which means if you are smelling it and you then realize to put your mask on, you might have already died or, at least taken severe lung damage from what phosgene does. So phosgene, like chlorine, is kind of a chemical byproduct that's made in industry. Phosgene actually has a lot of uses supposedly as pesticides, and we'll be getting into pesticides in a later video because lots of chemical weapons are developed from pesticides. But your pesticide use, plastic use, apparently, lots of industrial uses. So if it's in a controlled industrial environment, it's supposedly, one of those very good things. The issue is that because humans are very good at killing each other, we figured out that something like phosgene that's got lots of industrial uses and happens to be very toxic is very, very good for killing other people. So phosgene, I can't work out really from what I've read online if phosgene was first used by the French or Germans, because lots of sites conflict the information. It was supposedly 1915 it was used either by the French or Germans, but then everybody started using it once they realized it was a good chemical weapon to use on your enemies. So again, phosgene is like chlorine in terms of it's denser than air, it's heavier than air. So it sits in, craters and things, it lingers around. Now, phosgene is more dangerous, both because it needs a much lower amount to kill you, and secondly, because it lingers around much longer, and again, it's harder to detect. So if you smell it, you're already probably dead. It's harder to see as well. Supposedly low concentrations of phosgene, enough to kill you, are pretty much invisible to the eye. When it builds up more and more, you may be able to see sort of discolored air, but that's, when a massive amount is sprayed. So what phosgene does is it gets into your respiratory tract, and when it's in your respiratory tract, it pretty much just destroys the linings of your lungs. So the weird thing with phosgene as well is
nothing to see here. If it doesn't kill you, it's just going to destroy the lining of your lungs. And so then you'll just die later from that. In private chat, Rowena sent me something. Birds are just falling out of the air. MK said, makes me want to leave Ohio. Are you north of the river, MK, or south of the river?
Often, like some other chemical weapons, you can inhale a lot of it and you can feel fine to begin with. But what then happens is sort of within 24 to 48 hours, you start coughing up the linings of your lungs. You start going blind, essentially. You start getting horrible headaches, things like that, until you die. So it's very, very nasty stuff. It can kill you outright, but most of the time it's 24 to 48 hours later, the people exposed to it begin to die. So how do you protect yourself from phosgene? Same way you protect yourself from most chemical weapons, a respirator. You put the respirator on. In terms of casualties.
Why don't the people in, I gotta go back to that. I didn't mean to do that. Why don't the people of East Ohio have one of these masks? Why? Why don't they? Jamie, what caused the derailment? They said it was going too fast. This is in the air. Phosgene gas. Why aren't they're letting them go to hotels and they're telling them just go get bottled water? What about the air quality? Why don't they have these masks?
Now, Just taking my gas mask apart there, look. Phosgene is apparently also really nasty because it actually is really good at sticking into your clothes, a bit like chlorine does. But what can happen is if you're exposed to phosgene, you can get out of the area and you might be all right, but your clothes might soak through with phosgene, and then a lot of people don't realize they don't take the clothes off immediately, they don't take their clothes off properly, which can be a problem. So if you had something of a zipper on, you could just unzip it and take it off and then chuck it in a bag. The issue is that if you had a t-shirt on, you shouldn't then pull the t-shirt or something like that over your head, because then you're wiping all the phosgene into your hair and your eyebrows and your eyes and your mouth and nose, whatever. What you're meant to do is just get some scissors and cut it off and put it in the bag. Then you're meant to rinse yourself down as much as possible. Now, what I was reading online says that.
What are they going to rinse them? I like this guy, by the way. This is an older video just about phosgene. I will link it in the description. So when they say, you get this phosgene on you, even if you don't take a big breath of it, where are you going to rinse off at? Where are you going to rinse off at? This is a chemical that we've been using for a very long time to kill the other side. Now it's being used on us. I hate to say it that way. FEMA is not there. FEMA has been denied. We're going to get to that in a second.
There's not actually any antidote to phosgene, so if you've inhaled it, I guess you're screwed. When I was looking at the CDC in America's page on how to actually protect yourself from phosgene, they'd advised if you have swallowed phosgene or inhaled it, you don't drink water and you don't try and make yourself sick. You rush to an emergency room where I guess they can do some sort of stomach pumping or something, or lung pumping. I don't know. To try and get as much of it out of your system as possible. And they can probably treat similar side effects as phosgene, just not phosgene poisoning itself. But as I said, it's really nasty stuff. The good thing is, as I was saying, it doesn't seem to be one of those it doesn't seem to be one of those chemical weapons that can do too much damage, at least through skin contact. It's not a blister or nerve agent, but you still don't want to get it touching your skin. So if you are exposed to it, get out the area as soon as possible. Basically, chuck all the clothes away you were wearing. If there's any clothes that you can't get off without pulling it over your head, then cut them off with a knife or scissors. And then go to an emergency room and tell them you think you've been exposed to phosgene. But said it's deadlier than chlorine. In World War I, apparently it was often used with chlorine, that they'd have shells mixed with the two, or they'd actually shoot shells at the same time. The reason being that because chlorine's not quite as dense as phosgene, if you mix them together, it means that the phosgene is carried by the chlorine a bit more and it spreads over a wider area. But again, you can see chlorine coming. You can't really see phosgene coming unless it's in massive numbers. But we'll get onto this when we start going into the blister agents like mustard gas and lewisite in later videos. But in World War I, one of the big things with chemical weapons was to combine them. So you'd use a mix of chemical weapons at once, so you can't protect yourselves from them as easily.
Okay, I'm not getting into mustard gas today. Mustard gas isn't a part of it. Shelly says, Brooks, why did Facebook flag you for posting an article on this? How is this misinformation? Your guess is as good as mine. They just don't like what I'm saying. That's all right. That's all right. We're going to hang together. We're going to hang together on this. We're good. We're amongst friends here, right? So people actually have blisters on their skin. People are saying they were told it's from the heat of the burning the chemicals. You think maybe it could be a chemical burn? He's clearly describing blisters on the skin. Someone said, who's going to pay for all of this? Well, let's see. As of yesterday, Norfolk Southern was worth $9.7 billion. Their operating income is $3.2 billion. Their net income is $2.1 billion. Ton of money. Their total assets are almost $40 billion. Ton of money, don't get me wrong. Not enough. Not enough. Is it going to take care of an entire eastern portion of a state and then some? And then some? Because remember, this is where the Ohio River goes. It's going to seep into the soil. Cincinnati, get ready. Louisville, get ready. Evansville, Indiana, get ready. All the way to the Mississippi. We get to the Mississippi. Here we go. Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, all the way down into the Atlantic Ocean. 40 billion isn't going to do it. It's going to seep and seep and seep and seep. Seep and seep and seep. Let's see if we got Rowena back. Rowena, you there? Rowena. Nope. Rowena's still cutting out. Okay, so the senator, his name is J.D. Vance. He put a video out. Gonna play that. People are not liking this video because it must be true. When people get pissed about things, it's because it's true. Oh, we got to
So
get an
I just
investor.
switched to Verizon Business Unlimited. It is just right for my little business.
We switched too.
Unlimited premium data, unlimited hotspot data.
My point of sale is on point.
You know, it's from the most reliable 5G network in America.
You know, you can get up to 10 times the speed at no extra cost.
When it comes to your business, not all bars are created equal. So switch to Verizon, the most reliable 5G network in America.
Come on.
And get the unlimited plan that your business deserves on the network America relies on.
Hey guys, so I'm here at Leslie Run, and there's dead worms and dead fish all throughout this water. So, something I just discovered is that if you scrape the creek bed, it's like chemical is coming out of the ground. Can you come here? And let me just show this to people. I don't know if you're going to see this on camera, but watch this. Just see that chemical pop out of the creek. This is disgusting. And the fact that we have not cleaned up the train crash, the fact that these chemicals are still seeping in the ground is an insult to the people who live in East Palestine. Do not forget these people. We've got to keep applying pressure. That's how we're going to fix this problem. Thank you.
It's horrible. It is horrible. Horrible. A lot of people are asking about FEMA. This is what I've got. Hold on one second.
With team coverage on the lingering impacts of the train derailment in East Palestine.
Our senior health correspondent Monica Robbins spoke with environmental experts about the chemicals. But first, our Neil Fisher is on set with us now with what's new for residents.
Neil, we're 2 weeks out. We know the controversy is growing over the fact that FEMA has not been requested. That was big news yesterday. What more did we learn about that today?
Well, we learned that Governor DeWine called again this morning to see if FEMA could help. Governor DeWine actually calls this a disaster, and what's happened after the controlled release of toxic chemicals is a disaster. It's not legally defined as such to get support from FEMA. As of today, the governor says FEMA will not do anything to help those in East Palestine. However, residents will get support from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the CDC, but many are asking.
That's just like putting them all on welfare. Why are they saying technically this isn't a disaster? What do you categorize as a disaster? Now, supposedly, the president told the governor, whatever you need, we're here to help. But FEMA's saying, but this isn't a disaster. What the hell do they want? Let me tell you what, FEMA is real freaking lazy too. We get tornadoes quite a bit here in Oklahoma. So after people get their homes rebuilt and they get back into their regular homes, they just leave the FEMA trailers there. They don't even go pick them up. They use them as like prefabs at schools. Why don't you come down to Oklahoma and get the FEMA trailers? Some of them got chickens living in them. Take them up to Ohio so these people have something to live in. Ridiculous. Mrs. Italy said FEMA has changed their decision. They're coming back because of the backlash. This was a few hours ago. A lot has happened in the last 2 hours. Okay. So I've just been told that they're going to come in now. All right. This was their first decision, though.
Why the governor hasn't requested FEMA to support the residents of East Palestine.
The declaration of disaster does trigger the ability then to get FEMA to do something. FEMA has told us as late as this morning that we do not qualify. We don't qualify yet.
We know that the Department of Health and Human Services will open a clinic in East Palestine early next week and will be able to see patients. The governor says the state will file paperwork today to make sure that if FEMA is needed in the future, the state is preserving their rights to request FEMA. The governor does not expect that residents will see FEMA in East Palestine. He says FEMA is known for disaster support, typically damage to property from tornadoes and flooding. The governor also answered questions about the safety on the railroads, which we'll discuss more tonight at 5.
All right.
I think we've learned enough about safety on the railroads. That's the reason every time there's a new administration, the fight starts again about the brakes, the money allotted to the railroads, you name it. That's when they get their lobbyists out and they start greasing wheels on each side of the aisle. Jamie Lunis, you said it. Property, not people. They could have just said that before and we would have understood. Did they honestly think that they weren't going to get a backlash? Like I said, have you looked at your pay stub lately? What we pay in federal tax dollars? There's no reason for them not to be there. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. A lot of the residents have demanded more testing because they are testing the water, they're testing the soil, they're testing the air, they're testing all these things. They're saying that, the readings are coming back good. They're coming back good. What is good? What is good when you're telling people just get bottled water? Let's look at this.
As we turn our attention now to that toxic train disaster in Ohio, many residents there demanding independent testing of the water and soil as weather threatens to complicate efforts to contain the pollution. The EPA says the air and the water is safe. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has details.
This morning, people in East Palestine, Ohio, bracing for a new threat stemming from the toxic crash.
I'm glad he said it, even though it was kind of under his breath. The weather. So you have these toxic gases. We talked about phosgene, hydrogen chloride. We know now what phosgene will do to you, which will lead to death. So when it starts raining, it will spread. The weather is definitely going to cause problems with this. It really is a Chernobyl
site where a Norfolk Southern train carrying vinyl chloride derailed 2 weeks ago. Fearing heavy rain could spread contamination, officials built up dams along the crash site.
All families need to know that they are safe.
The slow-moving chemical plume from a controlled burn at the site is expected to drift into West Virginia today, but the EPA says the contaminants are well below the 560 parts per billion that the CDC considers hazardous.
The state of Ohio and EPA are working hand in hand, and if we say that the water is safe and the air is safe, we believe it because we've tested it and the data shows it.
But residents say they're skeptical and scared.
He said, we've tested it, the data shows it. Well, you might have tested it yesterday at 8 a.m., then you test it again at 1 p.m., and that data skyrockets. Would you trust them who won't even come drink your own water? That's why I like this J.D. Vance. He was like, you go there, you turn on the tap, you drink the water, and then you tell them to go back home. Acid rain is exactly what's going to happen. It's not just going to happen there, though. Let's say they get a thunderstorm brewing up in, like around the Columbus area, and it goes through East Palestine. And it picks up the phosgene and the hydrogen chloride. Then it goes and it dumps on a farm in Pennsylvania. Then in a year, here's the farmer going, how come all my cows have tumors?
By mixed messages on water and air safety in the last 2 weeks, some reporting sore throats, vomiting, and other symptoms.
That train derailment happened just back there. And you look here, this is one of those gas monitors. And on the screen, it's zeros across the board. But you talk to residents in this neighborhood, and they'll tell you that if you spend an extended amount of time here, you're going to feel something.
Listen to what they said. People that are there for very long, they start getting a sore throat, dizzy, their eyes are burning, but they're told just to get bottled water.
You don't bring families back with their kids and their loved ones and then tell them to scrub with Dawn?
Ohio's governor now
Exactly. You don't tell them. This woman can barely talk. Listen to her scratchy voice. Listen to her. What would you do in your town if they had freaking masks like that hanging off your stop signs?
You're going to feel something.
You don't bring families back with their kids and their loved ones and then tell them to scrub with Dawn?
Ohio's governor now.
Yeah. Just like when you got the oil off the animals, the ducks and everything. Just get some Dawn, wash your house down. That'll get rid of the phosgene. That'll get rid of the hydrogen chloride, right? These people, they don't have money to move. Who's going to buy a house in Chernobyl, Ohio? Scrub your house down with Dawn, buy bottled water. Solved. No, I don't think so.
Calling for additional resources from the federal government. HHS and CDC crews now deploying. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg tweeted that he wants Congress to take action and address rail safety.
No offense, but tweets aren't going to do it. Tweets aren't going to do it. Annette said, woke up at 3 a.m. hearing many sirens, people dropping for all sudden illnesses. Julesy said, there's not enough Dawn in America to clean this mess. Toodles is in Cincinnati. Toodles, if you look, which you probably already know because you're from there, if you look at the Ohio River, what's going on in East Palestine is going to wind up being in your soil. This is horrible. Horrible. Let's see if we got Rowena back. Rowena, are you connected now? Rowena's driving. What are you doing, Rowena?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. How do they expect these people to get away from air?
Exactly.
How do you get away from air? You open your doors, air comes in. This is completely asinine. And I'm going to tell you what, FEMA doesn't do enough. When Katrina hit, and I was in Memphis working in a hospital, we got patients that were in the hospital there, pregnant. They were, relocated here. We had people that transferred trailers, and I'm not talking about it for a few months. I'm talking about for years. And yeah, they just sat there. They did. They just sat there. It's disgusting. And there was a video, my husband was telling me about it. There was a video to where this guy, now he's 5 miles outside of the zone, whatever. And it had rained. and birds were literally falling out of the sky, and there's a parking lot with dead birds all in it. Rain.
I saw it
Rain.
too. And you got dead birds falling out of the sky.
Yep.
Well, we knew something was wrong. Like I said, when this wasn't being reported anywhere. And then I hear that a news reporter from News Nation gets arrested. For what? Telling people what's going on? Look at this.
You guys, this is bad. This is bad. Oh my God. You guys, this is bad. Stop. Stop resisting. Stop this. Stop. She wouldn't get this. This is so bad. You guys get this. This is bad. You guys, he's a national correspondent. You cannot do this.
I'm a reporter with News Nation. It's all being recorded right now.
I hope it is. This is horrible.
Because you can't talk to people about doing their jobs.
Oh my God, I cannot believe this. This is horrible.
This is what it's like to be a reporter.
Evan, I'm so sorry. Evan, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sia.
Roll over, sir.
I'm sorry too, Evan, because Evan was just reporting what's going on. The Today Show said there was a train derailment in Ohio. That was it. Oprah's best friend Gail on CBS This Morning said the aftermath of a train derailment in Ohio, and that was pretty much it. You try to share this on Facebook, you're going to get a warning about spreading fake news. This is so disgusting. I really don't know what to say. I really don't. Very rarely am I at a loss for words, but I am. I am. Disgusting, disgusting conditions. Again, the people that make millions of dollars just giving their opinion with no science to back it up they will shame you. They will shame you for using toilet paper, plastic straws. They tell you to bring your own bags to the grocery store. Where are those assholes? Where are they at? Where did they go? Ursa Bruin became a new YouTube member, though. We don't need them. We have Ursa Bruin. And if it can't get any weirder, okay? I'm not going to ignore this. If it can't get any weirder. A movie came out pretty much predicting this. Here's the trailer. It's called White Noise. I hear the movie sucks, but it's up to you. Everyone has a different taste. This is on Netflix. We're not sponsored by Netflix. It'd be nice if we were. So don't think I'm promoting Netflix.
We have to leave. No, 5 more minutes. No more minutes.
Roll film.
That stuff causes cancer in laboratory animals, in case you didn't know.
Either I chew gum or I smoke.
What are these children? Yours?
That's mine from wives 1 and 3. There's Babette's from husband 2. Wilder is ours. We're each other's fourth.
Life is good, Jack. I hope it lasts forever.
Let's watch a sitcom or something.
No! They're calling it the airborne toxic event.
It won't come this way.
Will we have to leave our home?
Of course not.
How do you know?
I just know.
Okay, what if it's dangerous?
Evacuate all places of residence.
So this is the end, or near to the end. Let's say goodbye.
We have a situation. All we have to do is stay out of the way.
They're passing us, Dad.
Technically, that's illegal.
Good God. Lisa said, that looks just like an actual derailment. It does to me too, if it can't get any weirder. So anyway, our Secretary of Transportation is tweeting about railroad safety. I don't know what to say about that. He did say, you know, well, train derailments, we have about 1,000 a year. True, we do. We do. We don't have, you can drive down Route 66. You're going to see some rail cars over on their side. They're just waiting on a crane to pick them up, take them off to the old train graveyard, basically. But not to a point where phosgene is in the air, hydrogen chloride ruins the soil, ruins the water. Human life is at risk for years to come. Cancer, miscarriages, deformities. Animals are already feeling it. That one guy, that hiker, found all those dead raccoons. They've just been drinking the water. This is beyond disgusting. And I know some people are like, well, they'll take care of it. They'll get it cleaned up there. They'll get it cleaned up there. Granny Buddy, exactly. Blood disorders. They were warning about that. Blood disorders. They'll get it cleaned up there. Well, I guess if you're that type of asshole and you're just going to be like, oh, well, I'll say a prayer for them. I'll say a prayer for them. You're not doing anybody a favor by praying for them. You should be praying anyway, or thinking of people anyway, however you want to say it. But it's not just there, because it's got to rain sometime. And again, this is really important. Here's the Ohio River. That affects a lot more than just there. Then it's going to go into the Mississippi. So we're getting ready to have a lot of theirs. There's going to be a lot of theirs that this affects. A lot of theirs. Yep, Erin Brockovich is all over it. She is all over it. She is all over it. I mean, I don't know if she's going to go around and she's going to get people to sign up with her and they're going to start suing the railroad company. I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea. Tammy Crime says it already rained. The storms have been going through and that big wind too. You can't contain this. They must think that the people of this community are really, really stupid, and that the people in the community over in the community above, north, south, east, west, are very stupid people, that they really are going to convince them that this can be contained, that it will just only be in this area. We'll just pick up these 5,000 people. We'll move them where you want to go. Cleveland sound good. Pittsburgh sound good. Where you want to go. Kentucky, where you want to go. We'll move you wherever you want to go. That's a drop in the bucket to this company. But it's the there that's going to continue. The there. It is horrific, guys. It's horrific. Annette said, I'm watching the birds now. Don't look up. You might have a bird hit you in the head. Where's PETA? I'm sure they're tweeting. I'm sure they're tweeting. I'm sure they're tweeting about this. Pez says, I honestly believe the railroad people don't care. No. They said they're going to stay there until this is cleaned up. So what they'll do, they will get all the cars picked up and out of there. They'll repair that section of the railway system. They'll tweet about it as they're doing it. Don't worry, we're not going to miss out on tweets. We're going to have lots of tweets and prayers, okay, guys? There's going to be tweets and prayers deluxe. So then they're going to dig up this soil around from where this happened. They're going to put in new soil, and they're going to be gone. But they can't do anything about this problem we have. And that's how it goes down the river. Then we're going to need tweets and prayers to go down the river again. Jim said, I'm well within 200 miles. Yes, you're right. Pittsburgh is very close to it. It's horrible, guys. It is horrible. So we're not going to be done talking about this. I have a feeling for a very, very, very long time. Because of the sensitivity of the subject, I do have a backup channel. I'm going to put it right here, which I plan to use anyway. I was going to use it for something else. So if you don't mind, sub to that as well. Make sure you're sub to this one, and, you know, the remind all, because we got to stick together. We've got to stick together on this. They'll figure out a way to get everybody pissed off at each other because they don't want people talking about this and the theirs. They don't want to talk about that. Don't want to talk about that. The Vanguard group doesn't want us talking about it. The railroad certainly doesn't. But we're going to have to. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the other side. I am planning on doing a show tomorrow. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be about, but we're going to have to continue talking about this for sure. Don't forget your tweets and prayers, though, man. Don't you forget those tweets and prayers, because that's all they've got for us. That's all they've got for us. All right, we're going to hang in there, continue being cool, agree to disagree, because there are not many channels on YouTube that can talk about this without having an all-out dumpster fire. But we can. You guys are the best. Have a great rest of your Saturday. If you are in that area, don't listen to them. Do not listen to them. Reach out if you need anything. I'll see you guys later. You are the best.